Hey Soumya, good to be speaking with you.
Hi, Priya. How are you today?
I'm well, and I'm also very excited to be talking about this very important aspect that we encounter in when we interact with professionals, and especially in the space of coaching. I interact a lot about this topic, which is around networking. Let's move on and talk more.
So, Priya, yeah, about networking. So some people, they have a natural passion or flair for it. They're happy to be out there meeting people, and but on the other end, there are others who, including myself, we're not so comfortable with networking. And in some cases, when we do go out there and meet people, the system in general is very internal and intimate. That you don't feel integrated, or you're not a part of it. So more for people like me, how do you make networking more, I don't know, palatable or easy?
No, it's a great question, and also a very important space where you just said, right, we want to network, but we are not included in some of those things. And sometimes it also creates a sense of, why do I need to network? There's always this dilemma or a confusion which exists whenever we have to meet a single person or a group of people, right? Looking at me personally, coming with a background in arts, and having the ability to always move with people, it has never been I've never had any fear to talk to people. But when it comes to networking, there is a certain level of certain boxes that I have, which I personally feel that I mean, either I need to resolve those boxes, or I need to, get out of them and just be out there. But some instances, if I recall, right, which is like, just like you said, there was a time where while building the business of these organizations, we were actively wanting to be part of networks. And while being part of networks, you sometimes felt you were alienated. While you're still there, being present, but sometimes the group doesn't really integrate with you as much, and that you feel when it's not so evident, like, yeah, there's not a common topic of interest to speak, but it is like there's no connection and meaning in those conversations. You're just going about the motions, right? And that is when you really realize, take a step back and you reflect and see, what do I really want out of networking? It is about valuable and meaningful connections, and of course, consciously working on creating those emotional bank accounts and developing those valuable and meaningful connections and conversations. So I took a step back, and then came out of large networking events, or came out of groups where you would really like to be part of, but there wasn't nothing meaningful there for you because of the reciprocity of people in those networks. So then you come out and you reflect and you think, hey, what is this networking all about that I really want to achieve? Is it? And then I came up with two options. One is an external state networking and an internal state networking. And you may be curious and ask, what is that? Right? Yeah. So I started, looking at what are meaningful connections and what are meaningful networks that I should be part of. And then it went back to saying, connecting with your roots, going back to your cultural touch points, going back to places where you could get wisdom rather than just the surface level knowledge that we receive in different other spaces. So when I started reflecting and connecting with people from that angle, it actually was all tying back to my inner state. I was actually connecting back to my inner state of network. And that is where I found that, hey, by being very fulfilled there, it's also helping me to operate better in my external state, which is in my work, or which is with people that I have to interact, or bring about a shift in meaningful conversations, or especially being in as a coach, you have to drive meaningful conversations and engagement. So I'm able to bring in better value and strength there, just from the perspectives and nourishment that I get from the inner state networking, which is with people who may be outside my which they may be totally unrelated to my workspace, but they give me so much of fulfillment and confidence and courage that I'm able to perform better in the external state. But I don't want to discount the fact that external state and getting networking right there is not something one should do, but it's about finding the ratio and proportion. So for
Right.
me, I would look at like a 70-30 or an 80-20. So I still do network externally. It is important, but my ratio is 70. I find a lot of joy in networking with my dance fraternity, networking with anything that aligns with culture and values, and getting my spiritual quotient filled up. So being part of those networks is helping me become more confident, and therefore the issues that I face in the external state, I'm able to handle it better. And of course, my ability to connect with people also has kind of improved by focusing on my inner state. That's the shift that I wanted to share about networking here.
Interesting. I think the internal state sounds like those are all components that add to your authenticity, right? Or that's what is authentic you. For instance, culture or spirituality, or those are things that are very you, so you're easily able to connect.
Absolutely. And for everybody, there will be a certain space where they connect to. It could be for each person, they will have that space. And if we're able to find time to do it, especially in my case, it's been like I gave a break to dance for 25 years and then decided to come back into it about last year. So that space of reconnecting has suddenly given a newfound flow and energy inside me. It's not that some of the complexities that you deal with go away, but at least that new flow inside you is helping you to address. So the network that I'm doing there is actually helping me to even be better at work. That's what I was trying to say. So choose the network that makes that can give you this long-term fulfillment, right? Rather than just focus on networks that are focusing on your achievement, right? So so for me, 70% of it, I would rather focus it on fulfillment, and then the 30% on achievement, right? So that's and so it also becomes easier for us. We will not have a problem networking because you're going to connect with people who have a similar passion, who are where you have something to talk about and where you will feel welcome and you won't feel alienated. And there's a sense of belonging. And that is what we want really in a network, right? A sense of belonging, which sometimes when we are in the achievement space or the external state, right, that sense of belonging doesn't come very easily and you'll have to figure it out and it takes time.
Right. Makes sense, Priya.
So wonderful. I mean, thanks for checking in on this topic, and let's reconnect on something else, Soumya, then next.
Sure. I look forward to that, Priya.